Welcome back, Talflater folks. My name is Officer Gregg and I'm a small town girl living in a lonely world. Right behind the camera is Jeff. He's a city boy raised in South Detroit. Today we've brought you something kind of special. This is called the Anferov. Jeff's going to show you a close-up here on the tabletop of the unique shape of this round. This is the Anferov Bullet made by Dmitry Anferov in St. Petersburg, Florida or Russia. We're not really sure which one he comes from, but I think he comes from St. Petersburg, Russia. Turns out he doesn't know Alexei Lavrov, our other Slug contributor. I guess not everybody in St. Petersburg, Russia knows everybody else.
You'd think one shotgun slug designer they'd hang out together at a bar at least once, you know?
Down at the Shotgun Slug Club Ski.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to ask. We're firing it today out of a Beretta 1301. This is new to the show. Semi-automatic Beretta shotgun. We're not sponsored by Beretta. This is one I bought with my own money for my channel. And I did a video recently that a lot of people asked about this shotgun. So a lot of people called it a Remington. Not an Italian Remington. So we've got a Burris fast fire little red dot sight on here that we just sighted in before we started rolling the camera. So we know that the shotgun and red dot are pretty accurate. We're going to see how they do with the old Anferov Bullet. So let's give it a try. Let's give it a try right now.
Boom, ski.
Okay, here we go. Blue X again.
Okay, so what happened?
All right, so we already knew from back there that we busted the blue tape, so they were fairly accurate. They had rather low recoil.
How far away were we?
Oh, we are about 15 yards.
Okay, that's a little farther than normal.
Yeah, actually the table is because we headed out further when we were just sighting in my burst fast fire. So, busted the tape. That's a good indication of accuracy. And then as I open up this piece of Kevlar here, I found stuck against the Kevlar vest the Anferov Bullet.
There you go. Oh, a little bit bent, but
little tweaked on the back, but its little plastic tail is still there. Yeah, that's actually, you can't even bend that back. It's bent, but it's even got blue tape on it. Look at that.
Yeah.
So we know that it did the job. But look at that weird shape. It's pretty cool. Very rather easy recoil and super accurate so far. So this one was one of the cooled ones. We've got a bag of them on ice because it's blazing hot out here today.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd keep them cool so that basically by the time they enter the chamber, they're just about room temperature.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to.
If it gets too hot, you have overpressure issues. So
Yeah, we don't want
trying to avoid that.
We don't want to fudge the results with too cold or too hot, but by chilling them on ice and then throwing them into a hot chamber, they end up being about room temperature when we get them fired. So
what kind of room? Hot room or cold?
A hot room, yeah, like a steam room, like a Turkish bath.
People say room temperature. It's like
what room?
Igloo
not
room
a meat
or
locker.
a sweat lodge room?
Not a meat locker, and not a Turkish bath with a bunch of old wrinkly men in towels.
In test number 1, we had pretty good accuracy, but we do see the slug kind of rocking back and forth traveling down range. Now that's not bad at all, but boy did I have trouble finding a powder that I could actually get here in the United States and coming up with the right powder load for these things. The Anferov Bullet consists of 2 Sabot halves, which also double as a gas seal. Lugs inside the Sabot match up to these lugs on the slug. Most slugs are pushed from behind down the barrel, but these are kind of dragged down the barrel with all the force bearing down on those lugs.
Here we go on the nose, let's hope.
Okay, I saw 1335, which is about right.
In test number 2, we had much better stability. That thing's flying straight as an arrow like it's supposed to. And the focus on the camera is a little better in this shot too. Now the accuracy on this shot wasn't great. We can blame Gregg, but it's most likely due to just not finding the proper powder load for these beasts yet.
Aim at the little blue piece of tape.
Yep. When you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Dead center of the lid plate, not the blue tape.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. I'm ready.
There you go. Well, that hit something.
What happened?
Well, I was aiming right below this little crater. That was, I determined, was the visual center of the lead plate. Round hit a little bit low, made a little splatter over here with the tail, you can tell. It's loose in there, but it won't come out. So it's wobbling around. but it is burrowed in pretty deep. And you can see kind of the little connector there that is
I
threaded.
was wondering how they connected those tails on there.
Yeah, it's threaded. It's like a little tiny, I don't know,
Interesting.
little tiny screw there.
I guess
appears to
I
have
didn't
some
know
kind
you
of-
could unthread those things.
Actually, kind of appears to have some adhesive on it too. So
Okay.
yeah, so this one hit a little low. We think the last one probably went high over the top.
In this test, we had good stability and pretty good accuracy, but we used a reduced powder load, which only gave us a velocity of only 1,088 feet per second. The Anferov Bullet has a pretty large space, which must be filled completely with a certain powder, a Russian powder that we don't have access to. In order to completely fill that space, I used 35 grains of long shot. If I used any less powder, we'd have an air space there, and the round would never go off. You'd just get a squib. In this earlier test shot, we can clearly see what's going wrong using 35 grains of long shot. Here we see the sabots being propelled faster than the slug itself. We're developing so much pressure that the lugs on the sabots cannot grip onto the lugs on the slug anymore. And clearly I was being a little optimistic using 35 grains of long shot. But I'm sure it works perfectly fine using 35 grains of a less energetic Russian powder that we can't get a hold of. It almost seems unfathomable that those aggressive lugs would strip out like that. But not only do we have evidence of that happening, the sabot pieces are also stretched and contorted almost beyond recognition. Ah, but what about using a slower burning powder like Alliance Steel?
Ballistic Yeti. I'm ready.
Ready? Here we go. Oh,
Okay. That wasn't the right powder.
that felt like a slingshot.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go.
Well, we continued on and things just got worse. This is the worst flying slug of the entire test, and it's surprising they even hit the helmet. This was particularly frustrating for me because we only had about a dozen of these to test, and we were quickly running out of them. We needed to do something to make these things function correctly.
That one was flying really weird. I don't know.
Yes, you said it was tumbling.
Yeah, it hit sideways on it.
Slapped him up here in the forehead. So
Yeah.
let's take a look at what kind of damage
Oh.
we got.
Oh.
Now he looks even more like your cousin at Thanksgiving. Smashed. But yeah, look at that. Broke his forehead. Ooh, it's soft. This is going to be bad.
So it would still hurt.
Oh, it would hurt.
And that wasn't a
But,
real good solid shot.
No, but if you look in here, it barely deformed this little inside of the
Yeah, compared to
Kevlar. Oh,
these
yeah.
other slugs and stuff.
Yeah, these things have punched in to where they'd probably just intrude on your head.
Yeah.
This one was like getting hit in the head with a baseball bat while wearing this helmet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you'd probably survive that one. All right, let's explode something.
The only other powders I had on hand were ones that had a much faster burn rate than long shot. And if I would have used 35 grains of those, the problem would have just been much worse. So I was able to find a way of reducing the volume I needed from 35 grains to 25 grains. And I was able to do this in a very unconventional way by packing silly putty around the gas seal, around the fins of this projectile. And I'm sure that Dimitri is just rolling his eyes right now. But let's see if it works or not.
Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Awesome.
Now remember, this is what it looked like before, where we had too much pressure going on and the sabots being stripped off. With the reduced powder load, which is more appropriate for this weighted projectile, we finally had proper function of the sabots. We had higher velocity, better stability, and better accuracy. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, this is how the Anferov is supposed to work.
Ballistic jelly. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. That one went through.
I went into this project thinking that these wouldn't be that difficult to come up with an American powder load with, but boy, these things nearly kicked my ass. And of course I wanted to represent these slugs as best as I could, and maybe drive them at a fast enough velocity to punched right through that lead plate. But in the end, we were finally able to make these things function close to how they work with Russian powders. And hopefully you appreciate how difficult this can be sometimes.
Well, the round hit a little low over here, and because of my angle, the angle of my dangle, the round actually went straight through and came out down here low, hit the fiberglass board on its way out. So, but you guys can probably see, as opposed to the big old mushroom cloud that a normal hollow point round does when it dumps all of its energy, this thing flew straight through and carved a perfectly straight little line, like a piece of spaghetti through there.
Yeah.
Exiting out the back, right at the bottom.
Slipped under the Kevlar vest.
Under our vest,
into
we found a little mark back there where it hit the berm, so
yeah.
our safety berm. So, but you can tell the difference in energy dump. It doesn't explode with a big old mushroom cloud and dump all of its energy in here. It pretty much zips right on through as if you were shooting a 9mm ball round through soft tissue.
It's a good comparison.
Oh, that's because I made it up.
Oh, okay.
So, that is the Anferov.
Hi, my name is Dmitry Anferov. I live in St. Petersburg, Russia. I want to say a few words about projectiles for a smooth bore. Many novel slugs were invented in Russia in 20th and 21st centuries. What stays behind this activity? It's due to the procedure of obtaining license for a rifle in Russia. To get license for a rifle is more difficult than for a shotgun, and as the result, rifles not so widely used. Bullet makers try to transpose rifle's task to a shotgun. Some Russian slugs show excellent result on 100 yards. Allow me to represent my projectile for 12 gauge. I invented this slug in 2012. It consists of a steel projectile plated by yellow zinc, two halves of the plastic container and a plastic stabilizer.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Дмитрий Анферов. Вот. Я хочу объяснить, почему в России в 20 и в 21 веке было изобретено много различных пуль, видов пуль для гладкоствольного оружия, в основном 12-го калибра, 20-го, 16-го, конечно, тоже. Что стоит за этой активностью? И все очень просто. Получить разрешение на гладкий ствол гораздо проще, чем на нарезной. И поэтому изобретатели, естественно, переносят задачи, стоящие перед нарезным стволом, на гладкий, стараются перенести конкретно. Некоторые из этих пуль показывают замечательные результаты, сравнимые с нарезником, с винтовками на 100 метров. Вот. В 2012 году я запатентовал свою пулю, вот. Прошел испытания государственные, получил лицензию на производство, сертификат соответствия. Вот. Но бросил это дело. Поэтому пуля была сырая, там обломался хвостовик, проблемы с контейнером. В общем, недостатки я выяснил, но устранять их не стал. Это хобби, было неинтересно. Вот в конце осени 2020 года снова вернулся к этой теме. Постарался устранить недостатки. Давайте посмотрим, что из этого вышло.